Hi, it's Phil here from Revive My Ride, and in this video I'm going to show you how to do a spark plug change on a BMW N55 engine. The actual car that will be featured in this video is the BMW F21 series M135i. But the N55 engine can actually be found in a lot of other BMWs as well. And before we get started, it's worth mentioning these spark plugs. So they're a little bit unusual on this engine. First of all, they're a very small diameter. So as you can see here, that's just a 14mm. And also, can you see this is like a bi-hex or a 12 point? So that's an unusual fitting, if you like, for on a spark plug. And that means you need a special socket to fit these. And you're unlikely just to have this in your kit. So as you can see, it's very thin walled. It's got this bi-hex or a 12 point type hex here. And also there's a little bit of a universal joint at one end. And that's because these spark plugs, when they go down the tube, they're actually just at a slight angle at the very bottom to the access. And so this universal joint makes it so that you can get a really good purchase onto those plugs. I'll put part numbers for these plugs and a link to one of these tools in the description below. Apart from that, you'll just need all standard tools really. So you'll need your socket set and extension, and then you might find that you need a screwdriver and maybe some grips for some of the other sections of the job. Okay, so the first step in the N55 spark plug change is getting this engine cover out of the way, and these just pop into place. So you just go around the edges, pulling up gently, and then that'll just lift right out. Now the spark plugs are all under here, starting with number 1 and working their way back. And the last couple you can't see because of this foam soundproofing. So all you have to do is just carefully go along lifting this off. It's got little knobbles, fasteners that the engine cover was on, just poking through. Just take your time with it because it is possible to tear this foam and then it'll be untidy. Okay, so that's it. Put that off to one side as well. It's worth mentioning that on some cars with the N55 engine, this air filter pipe is at the back. So it comes over the back of the engine and the air box is somewhere here. And so you have to undo some Jubilee clips and a couple of other screws and lift out this section because it's actually running here above all the spark plugs, so it's in the way. But on this particular car, again UK spec, the air intake's here, it's not in the way, we can get straight on with the spark plugs. Okay, these are all your individual coil packs that go straight onto your spark plugs. And all we need to do now is disconnect each one of these. So I'm going to start with this first one here. You just lift it at the back edge, and then as you lift, it ejects the electrical connector. So you can see it just literally pushed it straight out there, so that's pretty easy. And now what you'll find is this little lever that you lifted up has this hole through, and that's just perfect for getting your finger through. And now you can just lift straight up, and then your coil pack will come out just like that. And what I'm going to do now is go ahead and do that plug, put the coil pack on and reconnect it again, and I'll methodically work in that way all the way down. So here's the special socket that I got specifically for doing this job, and I just have an adapter from 3/8 to 1/2 inch drive, so I'll pop that in. As I said before, it's a very special design, thin walled 12 point with a little articulating joint, and that's because it's really hard to show you, but the spark plug is kind of like that, exaggerated. So you go down this way, but then the plug kinks at the bottom, so this just enables you to get onto it better. And then apart from that, I just have an extension that I'm going to use to give me the reach that I need. So just take your time to make sure that it's located really well down there, and then go ahead and use your ratchet to extract the plug. These plugs are really long, so they take a lot of unscrewing. Okay, so I've got the first of my replacement plugs ready to go. They come pre-gapped to the correct gap already. And make sure you don't use any anti-seize compound on the threads, because 2 reasons really. First one is that these come coated, and the second is that you have a torque setting on your box. So if I read that, it says 23 Newton meters. Any kind of compound that you put onto the thread means that you'll over torque, because the release agent acts as a lubricant. So yeah, that's what you do. You put them in dry just like this, and I recommend that you put them in by hand, because it is actually quite easy to cross thread this. If you started driving this in with a ratchet straight away now, then potentially you could cause a problem. So putting in by hand gives you the feel, and it allows you to locate, and you start turning it and you'd feel quite quickly if there was a cross thread, which you wouldn't necessarily feel if you were using the ratchet right from the start. So I'm just going to get my torque wrench that I've set to 23 Newton meters, and that's all there is to it. That's the first one done. So now I'm going to go ahead and put the coil pack back. And just a couple of things to note really. Can you see this shape on the coil pack here? Well, there's actually a shape molded into the top of the cylinder head here, and you just need to line those up when you're putting the coil pack back in. So push it in and you should feel it locate onto the spark plug. There we go. You can literally feel that when you push in with your thumbs. And then here's the electrical connection. So just start to feed that on, and then this lever will start to go down to secure it, and it just snicks in place. So I'm going to go ahead and do number 2, 3 and 4 now in exactly the same way, and then we'll pick up the action again on number 5 and 6, because there's restricted access, so there's a few things to show you. Okay, so number 5 and 6 are underneath here, and you can see that these electrical connections are in the way. So what I'm going to do is just pop them free of this bracket, both of them. So they just pop out of there. And what you need to do now is just take this bracket free, and there's just a torque screw there. This is a T30. Just move this off to one side, and now you can move these wires. And this is number 5 here, which we now have access to. So I'm going to go ahead and pop that lever up, which disconnects the electrical connection. So go ahead and pull that coil pack out. You might find you have to close this in order to get it out fully, and it just wriggles its way out. Now before I do number 5, I'm going to move on to number 6, because I actually have a little bit better access right now. So I'll do them number 6 and then number 5 when I'm putting the plugs back in. As you saw, I had to just pry with a screwdriver to get this last one out, because it's just so difficult to reach. And this coil pack just barely comes out if you take your time with it, just like that. Oh, back's aching now. So I had to do a bit of a playing around with my socket set to find something that's just the right length to go down in there. So obviously this here is the special socket I bought. This is a little 3/8 extension. Then there's the converter to 1/2 inch drive, and then a little stubby 1/2 inch drive. And when I drop that down in there, it's just about perfect to start giving me a bit of a turn on that spark plug. But because the spark plug's quite long, as this starts to come out further and further, I might have to take the little stubby one off. So we'll see. Okay, so as you can see here, I have the new spark plug for number 5 and all sorts of different extensions I'm using that are giving me the length I need to get down into there. And sometimes you have to separate the different parts of the extension you're using in order to get it back out of the spark plug hole. Okay, so that's number 5 done. Number 6 is even harder to get to, but you can see we have this access here. So again, it's just imperative that you get the length of the extensions right. And you might find that you have to drop your little socket in first, and then feed the other ones in afterwards. Push it back together again now. There you go, we've got it. So we just need to put that 6th one in. So just feeding that in. This is where the universal joint comes in handy as well, to be honest, because you can kind of feed that round and down. then just get it started by hand, same as the others. I just need to get that socket out now. Okay, so I'm just going to pop this coil pack back in. And then we have the electrical connection that just pushes on. The lever comes over the top to secure it. Now we can get number 5 coil pack in. And it goes in exactly the same way, and I left it to last because it gave me the access I needed for the number 6 coil pack. So we just have our bracket to put back in place. Okay, so we just have our foam to pop back in place. It has a couple of holes through it that pop onto the little studs that the engine cover goes onto. A couple on this side, a couple on the other side as well. But you start by feeding it back behind the bulkhead here. And to be honest, it can be a bit of a wrestling match trying to get the foam pushed down under the bulkhead at the back. But persevere and you'll get it. Okay, so that's it. That's how you do a spark plug change on a BMW N55 engine. If you've got any questions or anything else to say, then please drop me a comment. And hopefully you liked this video, and if you did, then please give me a thumbs up. It really helps my channel. And finally, if you'd like to see more content exactly like this, then please consider subscribing and clicking the bell, and maybe I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.